This one kind of came out of nowhere. Dusty May, the national champion last year with a very good Michigan team. I think they had 3 first-round picks, including one by the Mavericks. But this one to me was like kind of, really? You're going to leave Michigan and the dominance that you could have in the NIL to go to Dallas? And to me, it does show the star power of the Cooper flag. I know a lot of people want to compare this to when John Beilein went to the Cavs in 2018, 2019, because they're both Michigan coaches. But this is completely different because John Beilein didn't have a star. Dusty May does, and he's got 2, as reportedly they're going to want to keep Kyrie Irving. And to me, the NBA game and college game now are very different. I get it with all the 3-point shooting. But this guy's been a winner everywhere he goes. He's the one that coached the Florida Gulf Coast team to the Final Four way back when they were a Cinderella. So it's not like he's always been
I think it was Florida Atlantic.
Or Florida Atlantic, thank you. It's not like he's been just a big school. He's had a lot of experience. So to me, I don't know what to make of this. Depending on how you feel about Billy Donovan, I think he sort of worked with the Bulls. He did what he could with that roster and just kept trying to get in the playing tournament every single year. And listen, the West is very tough, as we talked about, but this Mavericks team should be right in the mix as well.
Yeah. What this says to me more is not about Dusty May going to the Mavericks. It's him leaving Michigan because of what you just said. NIL. From what I was hearing on like ESPN and some of the others, as soon as they won the championship, Dusty May was trying to retain most of his roster. He was out going recruiting, trying to get players in the transfer portal and whatnot. Why do you think Jay Wright stepped away when he did? Bill Self has become very year to year with Kansas. Tony Bennett, I think is his name, with Virginia. I think
Coach K's the big one that stepped down because of NIL and all that with Duke.
Yes, exactly. NIL has drastically changed college basketball. You don't know what your roster is going to look like year to year.
Not only that, look at like college football. Chip didn't work out, but Chip Kelly went from being the offensive coordinator at Ohio State to being the offensive coordinator there at the Raiders because he just didn't want to deal with college anymore.
Exactly.
And Jeff Affleck goes from being the head coach at Boston College as being a coordinator with the Packers. Now, obviously, he's head coach of the Dolphins. But college sports now has turned into a 365-day job. And because of NIL and the transfer portal, and because the timing is so weird, because it happened during the season and immediately after the season in college basketball, it is harder, I would argue, to be a college coach than it is a professional coach. Because
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like I said, as soon as Michigan won the title, he was trying to recruit. He was trying to keep his roster intact.
You don't even have time to celebrate. I mean, you may have 24 hours, if that. It's like, we won the championship. Yay. Hey, how much money do you want?
Exactly. Again, you don't know if you're going to have the same team that you did the year prior. So it makes total sense that he went to the NBA, and it makes sense that he went to Dallas because, yeah, he wants to coach Cooper Flag. Honestly, this doesn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't surprise me if we see more coaches from college basketball come to the NBA. It really wouldn't.
What's going to be interesting to me about Dallas is, as I mentioned, what do they decide to do with Kyrie? Because I thought all along that you use Kyrie as a trade piece, trade chip, similar to what they did with Anthony Davis. But it sounds like, to me, they're going to keep him.
Are they going to keep Klay Thompson? That's my question.
I totally forgot that Klay was in Dallas. I mean, if you want to send him to Golden State for a little reunion, fine. I don't care. I know me and you have argued about this. I think Klay is way past prime. I think Klay is almost like Dwayne Wade at the end with the Bulls, where he's just like sitting on the bench and he's just not the same player.
Clay's always going to be one of my all-time favorites. When he was healthy and he was knocking down shots and locking up the opposing team's best player, it was so much fun to watch him, man.
Well, what killed him is, and I'm sorry, I can't recall if it's the Achilles or the ACL. I think it was the Achilles. He tore him back to back.
Yeah. And he just lost that the gift of the great shooting that he had.
Well, you never lose shooting. What he lost was his legs. He doesn't have the leg strength anymore.
That's what I meant in terms of the shooting aspect.
For sure. And then defensively, he can't sit in the chair anymore, so he's not the same player. So I don't see the value with him there.
Yeah. And you still have PJ Washington there. He's a player I would love to see the Cavs try and go out and get him. He's the type
for sure. He's the type of player that they need in another wing. You know, it's funny, Josh. Remember a couple years ago, I know you remember this. It was the night of the Royal Rumble 2025. It happened about 1 o'clock in the morning. We all thought it was fake news. The trade came down. Luka Doncic has been traded for Anthony Davis. We all made fun of Nico Harrison, and we all said he was the worst general manager of all time, and they were chanting, fire Nico and all that. I hate to tell you this. And again, they had to get Cooper Flagg. That was the key to this whole trade. If they tanked, remember, they were in the play-in tournament as the 10th seed. They won their first game, and they lost that second game. I think it was actually to Memphis. They lost by like 50. But it enabled them to get Cooper Flagg. I actually think if you look long and hard now for the next decade, I think Cooper Flagg over Luka, 100%. There is a world where this trade works out better for Dallas than it does the Lakers.
I'm not ready to go that far yet. But in terms of that, Brad Stevens might end up looking worse than Nico Harrison for the trade he made with Philadelphia for Jaylen Brown.
That's actually a good discussion that we may have at some point this offseason.
Which, by the way, Brad Stevens came from the college game, and I thought he did a very good job as the coach of the Celtics.
He did. He's been a good coach. Up until Tuesday, I thought he was a great executive.
Yeah. Didn't he win Executive of the Year?
The year they won the championship, I think he did.
So, college coaches, generally, when they come to the NBA, they have success. They do.
Well, the NBA is testing out a new rule that apparently has been in the G League since the 2019-2020 season that I've never even heard of. But it is this one free throw rule, which is essentially up until the last 2 minutes of fourth quarter, and if the game goes overtime, this wouldn't apply in overtime. If you get fouled, so if you get fouled on a 2-point shot, you would shoot one free throw instead of two, with that free throw being worth 2 points.
Yeah. And if you get fouled on a 3-point shot, you would take one free throw worth 3 points.
Correct. And the whole point of this, I guess, is sort of like baseball to quote unquote speed up the game. Though here's the issue. In baseball, there was a real issue with game time. Games were going 3.5, 4 hours. Now they're down to 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes. In basketball, the issue with game time is the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yep. Because it seems like there's stoppages like every 30 seconds.
Correct. For intentional fouling. And again, Josh, I know I've ranted on this probably more than anything over the last 6 months. I don't know how people aren't seeing that Adam Silver is a delusional commissioner. He is the worst commissioner right now in all of sports. I don't care what anybody says. You can make an argument with the WNBA commissioner who doesn't even care about her star that saved the sport. But Adam Silver is destroying everything good about the NBA. You know why this week in the NBA has been so fun? Because guys are actually on the move. But you know what? They used to be on the move every year. because of free agency. Now they have to get traded for the most part. And I'm sorry, free agency is a lot more fun than trades. And whether Adam Silver likes it or not, this is the God's truth. We like talking more about the NBA offseason than we do talking about the NBA regular season. So they're trying to create this rule. Oh, yeah, this is going to help speed up the game. If you look really hard at the NBA, what decides games? The difference in the amount of free throws you make per game versus your opponent. If you make 9 free throws and your other opponent only makes 2, you often win the game by 7 points.
And again, we talked about Bam Adebayo earlier in the show. Why did people discredit his 83-point game? Because he took 40 free throws.
Yes. And also, by the way, and I know it's the third quarter, or excuse me, I know it's not. I know the last 2 minutes is always clutch. But if you're in the third quarter and you're trying to make a comeback, nothing kills that comeback more than the second missed free throw. It will change outcomes of games.
It really will.
If they get this implemented, the NBA, and again, I do not like to use these radical terms, but the NBA is turning woke. The NBA is doing the opposite of baseball. The NBA is not helping their fans. Baseball's concern was, we're going to drive away our diehard fans. Actually, you're not. The ratings are up. The NBA, you are going to drive away fans like me with these stupid, radical changes that don't need to be changed. This is not the issue. Tanking is not the issue. The issue is when stars like Wemby, for example, only play an Eastern Conference team once a year, and let's say he goes to Boston, and all of a sudden, oh, my knee hurts, I don't want to play tonight. And then you don't see him for the rest of the goddamn year.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, oh, load management. You know what happens? Oh, my tooth fell out. Guess what? I'm still going to play, and I'm an NHL player. Like,
well, you know what else is crazy, too? Why is the NBA the sport of analytics? Baseball is the sport of analytics, not basketball. The Celtics lost. They blew the 3-1 lead to the Sixers because they shot too many threes. That's the problem. And the Celtics say, no, actually, our problem is Jaylen Brown. Why is the NBA tone deaf to their own issues? Teams, owners, what happened to this league? And we used to all think that David Stern was a terrible commissioner, and God rest his soul, rest in peace, David Stern. Back in my day when I was a kid and I was innocent, I didn't know anything, I would pray for when Adam Silver took over the league from David Stern, because I was always taught by the media David Stern is this evil monster that vetoed the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade. No, actually, David Stern saved the league. If it wasn't for him putting games on television and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, the NBA in the 70s was on tape delay. So, yeah. I mean, come on. What are we doing?
Yeah, this rule doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't change my mind in any way.
And by the way, you're going to try it out in the summer league. It's different than minor league baseball. Like they always say, in minor league baseball, the pitching's a lot different than it is in major league baseball. Fine. The kids are developing their learning. A lot of them do actually get called up and make the MLB roster. In the NBA, outside of a few, how many of these second-round picks aren't even going to make the NBA team because they're terrible shooters?
Yeah, in that regard, I think the summer league is a little bit pointless and stupid because most of these guys aren't going to be in the NBA. But,
No, I know some people that love the summer league, and God bless you because you love basketball. And I get it to some extent. I do not understand the point of this rule. And this may be an all-time championship rings ran from yours truly. This is just dumb. This is just, who thought of this?
And I honestly don't know.
The fact that this, Well, what I want to know is this, because reportedly this has been going on in the G League for years, and I never have heard of it. So give me the data on what it's done in the G League. What is the time of game in the G League to the time of game in the NBA? Is there a real difference? Because if there is, then you can talk me into it.
I don't have that information, so I can't do that.
I looked up what the pace of play and the difference in the NBA G League versus the NBA is. I asked our good friend ChatGPT, so take this with a grain of salt. It says that the G League introduced this rule to shorten game length, reduce downtime, and keep the pace of play moving. The league estimates it cuts several minutes off the average game without significantly changing the score. Whether it eventually comes to the NBA is an open question. The G League is often used against potential rule changes. The one free throw rule has been viewed by many as successful in speeding up the games, though some fans and players prefer the traditional format.
Interesting.